A chilling discovery deep beneath the Antarctic ice. A metallic sphere pulsing with faint, unnatural light. Etched with symbols no human language can decipher. Found in a layer dated 100,000 years old. It hums with an energy that defies our science. Is this the relic of an alien machine? A beacon from a civilization that ruled Earth before us? Or proof that history as we know it is a lie? Scientists scramble. Governments hush. And whispers spread. This could rewrite humanity's origins or confirm we're not alone. What if this sphere isn't the first find, but the latest in a chain of suppressed artifacts hidden to protect a truth too dangerous to reveal? Who buried it? And why? As the ice keeps its secrets, one question burns. Are we the first to conquer this planet? Or merely the next in line? The air grows heavy with possibility as we plunge into the forbidden. Imagine Earth 100,000 years ago. Not a primitive wasteland of grunting hunters, but a world alive with cities of shimmering organic towers. Skies strewn with craft defying gravity. And minds wielding knowledge that rivals or surpasses our own. This is no fantasy. It's the crux of conspiracies that dare to challenge the sanitized pages of your history books. From the shadows of academia to the wild corners of the internet. Voices like Graham Hancock, Eric von Akanen, and rogue theorists of a lost Tartarian empire insist we've been lied to. They claim advanced societies thrived long before Sumer or Egypt, only to vanish in cataclysms or cover-ups orchestrated by powers desperate to control the narrative. Why? Because the truth of alien architects, free energy technologies, or cycles of human brilliance could unravel the foundations of religion, government, and modern society itself. Close your eyes, dear listeners, and let these mysteries pull you into a vortex where time itself seems to unravel. First, consider the bombshell known as the Siluran hypothesis proposed in 2018 by NASA's Gavin Schmidt and astrophysicist Adam Frank. They dared to ask, what if an industrial civilization existed millions of years before humans, leaving not ruins, but faint scars in Earth's geological record? Named after a fictional reptilian race from Doctor Who, the hypothesis suggests we've been looking in the wrong places. Not for crumbling temples, but for chemical echoes like carbon spikes, synthetic compounds, or radioactive isotopes from ancient nuclear reactors. But here's the twist. Why would NASA, an agency dogged by UFO cover-up allegations, fund such a provocative idea? Is this a subtle nod to a pre-human empire, perhaps extraterrestrial in origin, that left traces we're only now beginning to detect? Imagine sediment layers hiding isotopes not found in nature, or ocean cores whispering of machines that burn fuels we can't fathom. The Siluran hypothesis isn't just science. It's a siren call to question whether we're the first to shape this world. What if those signals are already out there, locked in ice or stone, dismissed as anomalies by a scientific elite guarding deeper truths? Now, let's ignite the fuse with Graham Hancock's electrifying ancient apocalypse theory. Hancock, a renegade scholar vilified by mainstream archaeologists, argues that a global civilization thrived 12,000 years ago, only to be obliterated by a comet strike during the Younger Dryas period. This cataclysm unleashed floods, fires, and a snap freeze that erased cities of stone and star-aligned monuments like Göbekli, which predates the pyramids by millennia. But Hancock's vision stretches further. What if this wasn't the first reset? Could cycles of collapse reach back 100,000 years, each wiping out societies that mapped the heavens or sailed uncharted seas? Conspiracy theorists amplify his claims, whispering that institutions like the Smithsonian bury evidence artifacts too advanced, skeletons too strange to keep us tethered to a linear sanitized history. Picture submerged coastlines, hiding metropolises, their spires drowned when glaciers melted. Why do flood myths from Noah to the Sumerian Gilgamesh echo across cultures? Are they mere stories or survivors' cries from a world lost to water and time? Enter Eric von Daniken, the firebrand behind Chariots of the Gods, who throws gasoline on this inferno. He claims extraterrestrials didn't just visit Earth. They engineered our progress. The pyramids aligned with Orion's belt. The Nazca lines visible only from the sky. Sumerian tales of Anunnaki gods descending from the stars all point to alien intervention. Von Daniken suggests that 100,000 years ago, these starfaring beings could have gifted prehistoric humans or another species entirely with metallurgy, astronomy, or even genetic upgrades. Why else do cave paintings from that era show disc-shaped objects and figures in helmets? The conspiracy deepens. Governments and scholars fearing the collapse of religious and political order suppress finds like the Baghdad battery, a possible ancient electric cell, or the Antithethera mechanism, a 2,000-year-old computer far too advanced for its time. If aliens shaped a civilization so long ago, what became of their protégés? Did they ascend to the stars? Or were they erased by cosmic overlords who deemed them a failed experiment? Then there's the Tartarian Empire, a conspiracy that pulses through online forums like a heartbeat from the past. This theory alleges a global utopian civilization existed as recently as the 19th century. Its grand architecture, think Capitol domes, star forts, and onioned cathedrals powered by free energy drawn from the atmosphere. Tataria, spanning Eurasia and beyond, was allegedly erased by orchestrated mud floods, cataclysms that buried cities under liquefied soil, their remnants repurposed by victors who rewrote history. Maps once called vast regions Great Tartary. Yet by the 20th century, they vanished. Theorists point to bells found in coal seams or intricate metalwork in ancient strata as Tartarian relics, possibly linked to societies from 100,000 years ago that survived earlier resets. Why the erasure? To hide technologies that could free humanity from oil and power grids controlled by elites who staged world wars to cement their dominance. Imagine those buried cities, their spires still standing beneath layers of earth, waiting for a truth seeker to unearth them. These conspiracies collide in a single haunting question. What if our past is a lie? And the evidence, be it a glowing sphere in the Antarctic, a submerged city, or a star map carved in stone, has been hidden to keep us ignorant of our true power. Each theory, from the Silurian scientific veneer to Tartaria's wild speculation, pulls at the threads of history, threatening to unravel it. Are we the first to dream of the stars? Or do we walk in the shadows of giants? Human, alien, or something else entirely? What catastrophe or conspiracy buried their legacy so completely that we stand on their graves unaware? As these questions swirl, they beckon you deeper into the night, where answers may lie just beyond the next discovery or forever out of reach. But why stop at speculation? The clues are out there, in artifacts that defy timelines, in myths that pulse with truth, in sediments that whisper of industries long gone. The Silurian hypothesis hints at chemical scars. Hannock's comets suggest cosmic resets. Von Daniken's aliens propose a universe teeming with influence. Tartaria's mud floods warn of deliberate erasure. Together they form a mosaic of a past so vast, so intricate that our history books seem like children's tales in comparison. What if the next find a machine in the ocean's depths? A genome with alien markers proves it all. Until then, the mystery holds us captive, urging us to question, to dig, to dream, as the night wraps you in its embrace. Dear listeners, I am Mr. welcoming you to Codex of the Lost. This is only the beginning of our journey into the shadows of time. If these enigmas have sparked your curiosity, subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to join us for every whispered secret. Sleep now, cradled by the echoes of a past that may hold the key to our future. Good night, and may your dreams uncover the truths we've yet to find. In the dim glow of a forgotten museum vault, where dust dances like ghosts in the beam of a single flashlight, I stand before a locked cabinet labeled Unclassified Anomalies. The air is thick with the scent of aged metal and mystery, and as I turn the key, imagined or real, who can say, the door cracks open to reveal objects that whisper of worlds beyond our grasp. These are not mere relics. They are enigmas wrapped in stone, clay, and legend, challenging the very timeline of human ingenuity. Let us start not with proclamations, but with a single unassuming jar from the sun-baked ruins of ancient Parthia, now known as the Baghdad Battery, discovered in the 932nd near Baghdad. This artifact is a humble terracotta pot roughly the size of a man's fist, containing a copper cylinder and an iron rod, sealed with asphalt. At first glance, it might pass for a simple storage vessel, perhaps for oils or scrolls, but delve deeper, and the puzzle assembles itself into something electrifying. Literally, when filled with an acidic electrolyte, like vinegar or lemon juice, common in antiquity, this device generates a small voltage, enough to produce a tingle or perhaps plate metal with gold. Skeptics dismiss it as a mere coincidence, a jar for sacred texts that accidentally mimics a galvanic cell. Yet theorists like those inspired by Erich von Däniken see it as proof of prehistoric electroplating used by jewelers to gild idols or heal the sick through electrotherapy. Imagine a society 100,000 years ago harnessing electricity not for lights or machines, but for rituals that blurred the line between science and sorcery. Was this battery a lone invention or a remnant of a network of workshops where artisans coated relics in shimmering layers, their knowledge buried under layers of conquest and time? The controversy rages. Museums hide replicas claiming the original is too fragile, but whispers persist of tests showing real current. As you ponder this, feel the spark of wonder ignite. Could our ancestors have lit the dark with vaults long before Edison dreamed of bulbs? Shifting our gaze to the depths of the Mediterranean, we encounter a mechanism that defies the clockwork of history itself. The Antithyr mechanism, salvaged from a shipwreck off the Greek island of Antithyr in 1901. This bronze marvel, corroded yet intricate, is a geared device the size of a shoebox with over 30 meshing wheels inscribed in ancient Greek. Unlike the Baghdad Battery's subtle hum, this is a symphony of precision engineering, an analog computer that predicted astronomical positions, eclipses, and even the cycles of the Olympic Games. Dating to around 100 BC, it incorporates epicyclic gearing, a concept not rediscovered until the Renaissance. How did Hellenistic craftsmen forge such complexity without modern tools? Mainstream scholars attribute it to geniuses like Hippicus, a calculator for sailors and stargazers. But dive into the fringes and theories swirl like ocean currents. Was it a gift from an older civilization? Perhaps one that flourished 100,000 years prior, passing down celestial knowledge through oral traditions or hidden texts. Conspiracy circles suggest it's alien-inspired, a portable planetarium left by visitors who charted the stars. Recent X-ray scans reveal hidden inscriptions, hinting at user manuals for cosmic events. Picture it in the hands of a seafaring priest, dialing in the moon's phases as storms brewed technology so advanced it vanished for millennia only to resurface as a riddle. Does it point to a chain of lost inventors, their workshop swallowed by earthquakes or invasions, leaving us to piece together fragments of their genius? Now unfurl before your mind's eye a tattered parchment that redraws the boundaries of exploration. The Piri race map compiled in 1513 by the Ottoman Admiral Piri race. This gazelle skin chart depicts the coasts of Europe, Africa, and the Americas with eerie accuracy, including details of South America's eastern shore and even hints of Antarctica centuries before its official discovery. Piri claimed it drew from over 20 sources, including charts from Columbus and ancient libraries. Yet, the map's southern extremities show a queenless Antarctica, ice-free and connected to South America, as if drawn from a time when sea levels were lower, perhaps during the last ice age. Conventional historians explain it as guesswork or copied errors, a collage of sailor tales. But enter the realm of speculation and it becomes a portal to pre-Columbian voyages or aerial surveys impossible without flight. Charles Hapgood theorized it reflects a prehistoric global survey conducted by a seafaring culture 100,000 years ago when coastlines differed vastly. Conspiracy enthusiasts link it to ancient aliens, arguing the map's precision required satellite-like views. Why does it align with modern projections when adjusted for continental drift? Envision Piri in his Istanbul study, tracing lines from forbidden scrolls, unknowingly preserving echoes of a drowned empire. The map's survival through fires and wars fuels suspicion. Was it spared because it holds codes to lost continents like Atlantis? Or is it a deliberate breadcrumb leading to deeper truths? Venturing into the sands of Egypt, we elite upon a wooden curiosity that soars beyond its humble form. The Saqqara bird unearthed in 1898 from a tomb in Saqqara dating to around 200 BC. Carved from sycamore wood. This falcon-like figure spans 7 in with outstretched wings and a beak pointed skyward mounted on a base that suggests it was more than a toy. Unlike static idols, its aerodynamics balance center of gravity. Dihedral wings hint at flight capabilities. Egyptologists label it a ceremonial object, perhaps a symbol of the soul's ascent or a child's plaything. However, wind tunnel tests by modern aeronautics experts show it glides remarkably well with a tail adjustment, prompting theories of ancient aviation knowledge. Could this be a model for gliders used by priests to survey the Nile or a scaled-down version of machines from a society 100,000 years in the past where flight was commonplace? Fringe researchers connect it to Vimanas from Hindu epics, flying chariots powered by Mercury vortices. The bird's discovery in a pyramid builder's tomb adds irony. Did the same minds that stack stones to the heavens also dream of conquering the air? As debates flutter on, consider the possibility of suppressed blueprints hidden in scrolls destroyed during library burnings, leaving only this wooden whisper of what might have been. Deep in the mountains of China, a tale unfolds like a forbidden scroll. The Droper stones, allegedly found in 1938 by archaeologist Chi Putout in the Bay Karla caves. These disc-shaped granite stones numbering over 700 measure up to a foot across with spiral grooves etched like ancient vinyl records containing hieroglyphs that tell of a crash-landed spaceship 12,000 years ago. The story claims the Droper diminutive extraterrestrials survived among local tribes. Their tale encoded in the stones translated in the 962nd. The inscriptions describe a forced landing due to high-altitude failure, intermarriage with humans, and a legacy of hybrid descendants. Skeptics decry it as a hoax born from Soviet-era fiction and lacking physical evidence. The stones vanished during the Cultural Revolution. Yet, persistent legends and alleged photos fuel controversy. Were they biometric data storage spinning to reveal holographic messages under specific lights linking to our 100,000 year horizon? Perhaps they echo an even older visitation. Artifacts from a pre-Ice Age contact that seeded human tech. Imagine tribes guarding these disks in caves, their grooves holding star maps or warnings of cosmic perils. The absence of originals only heightens the intrigue. Destroyed by authorities fearing alien revelations or spirited away to black site labs. Our expedition culminates with a spark from the Californian wilderness. The Caso artifact discovered in 1961 by rockhounds near Olantra encased in a lump of hard clay mistaken for a geode. It revealed a porcelain cylinder surrounding a metal shaft remarkably similar to a 1/92 champion spark plug dated initially to 500,000 years old by its incrustation. It sparked wild claims of ancient engines or time travel mishaps. Rational analysis traced it to a rusted automotive part likely from mining equipment abandoned in the 1/922, with the geode forming rapidly around it through concretion. But conspiracy theorists cling to the anomaly. How did modern tech embed in ancient rock without tampering? They posit it's evidence of time loops or parallel histories where a society from 100,000 years ago developed combustion engines. Their remnants displaced through geological upheavals. Picture miners stumbling upon it, unaware they held a bridge between eras. Debunked yet enduring. It embodies the thrill of off-place wonders. Artifacts that tease at technologies hidden by time's veil. As our vault tour fades, these artifacts stand as sentinels, each a question mark etched in matter. From batteries buzzing with ancient current to maps charting unseen shores, they beckon us to rethink the possible. In the quiet of your thoughts, let them stir a gentle unrest, a curiosity that lingers like moonlight. And while you're pondering these mysteries, where are you listening from tonight? Is it a cozy corner in London, a starlit desert in Arizona, or perhaps a rainy night in Tokyo? What time is it there as you drift with these ancient riddles? Share in the comments to connect our global circle of seekers across the vast expanse of human memory, where whispers of the ancients mingle with the winds of forgotten seas. Lies a tapestry woven from threads of myth and legend. These stories pass down through generations like sacred flames guarded against the dark speak of empires that rose in splendor only to sink into oblivion. They are not mere fables to entertain around campfires. They are potential echoes of real histories distorted by time yet resonant with truths that tease at the edges of our understanding. As we embark on this exploration of sunken realms across cultures, I invite you to let your imagination roam freely, questioning whether these tales conceal the remnants of a society advanced beyond our wildest dreams. One that flourished 100,000 years ago. What secrets do they hold? And why do similar motifs, floods, golden ages, and divine interventions appear in every corner of the globe? Consider first the allure of Atlantis, that quintessential lost paradise chronicled by the Greek philosopher Plato in his dialogues Timaeus and Critias around 360 BC. Plato described it as a naval power beyond the Pillars of Hercules, the Strait of Gibraltar, boasting concentric rings of water and land, temples clad in oraclecom, a mythical metal gleaming like fire, and a society ruled by kings descended from Poseidon. This utopia, he claimed, conquered parts of Europe and Africa, before succumbing to earthquakes and floods in a single day and night, vanishing 9,000 years before his time. Scholars debate its origins. Was it a metaphor for Athenian hubris, inspired by the Minoan civilization's collapse after the Thera eruption, or a garbled account of real events? Yet the persistent fascination lies in its details. Advanced irrigation, elephant herds, and a central palace that sounds eerily like a hub of forgotten engineering. Modern theorists like Ignatius Donnelly in his 1882 book, Atlantis, the Antediluvian World, proposed it as a cradle of all civilizations, its survivors seeding Egypt and Mesoamerica with knowledge. What if Atlantis echoes a society from 100,000 years ago when lower sea levels exposed vast coastal plains? Could its sinking reflect post-Ice Age floods, submerging technologies that harnessed crystals for energy? As Edgar Casey's psychic readings suggested, The mystery deepens with sonar scans of the Atlantic floor revealing anomalous structures. Rectangular formations off the Bahamas Bimini Road. Dismissed as natural but whispering of artificial design. Why do Plato's measurements align with sacred geometries found in pyramids worldwide? As the waves crash in your mind, ponder if Atlantis was not myth, but a warning encoded in story. Venturing eastward to the Pacific's azure mysteries, we encounter Leomura or Mu, a continent theorized to have spanned the ocean, bridging India and Australia. Popularized by James Churchward in the early 20th century through books like The Lost Continent of Mu. This realm was said to be home to a spiritually enlightened race. Masters of telepathy and levitation who built colossal stone heads and pyramids before cataclysmic volcanoes and subsidence claimed their land 70,000 years ago. Churchward claimed to decipher ancient tablets from a Mexican monastery, describing Mu as the Garden of Eden. Its 64 million inhabitants spreading civilization to Atlantis and beyond. Helena Blavatsky, founder of Theosophy, will Leomura into her esoteric cosmology as a home to the third root race. Ethereal beings evolving toward humanity. Skeptics trace its origins to 19th century geology, when scientists like Philip Slater proposed a sunken land to explain lemur distributions across Madagascar and India. But the intrigue persists. Easter Island's Moai statues, gazing seaweed, and Nanol's basalt megaliths in Micronesia evoke a shared architectural heritage. Could Leomura represent a distorted memory of a 100,000-year-old society that engineered with sound waves, lifting stones as if by magic? Underwater ruins off Yunani. Japan stepped terraces resembling pyramids. Dated to the last ice age fuel speculation. Why do Polynesian oral histories speak of a homeland called he swallowed by the sea as tropical breezes stir your thoughts? Imagine Mu's priests channeling cosmic energies. Their knowledge fragmented into Hawaiian chants and Maui carvings. Waiting for reinterpretation. In the warm currents of the Indian Ocean, another submerged saga unfolds. Kumari Kandam, the lost continent of Tamil law. Ancient Tamil texts like the Sangam literature describe this vast land south of present-day India. A cradle of Dravidian culture with mias of learning. Golden cities and rivers flowing with milk and honey. Ruled by Pandyan kings. It spanned from Madagascar to Australia before two great floods. The first around 16,000 years ago. The second, more recent, devoured it, forcing survivors northward. Geologists link it to the ancient Suppic continent Gondwana. But Tamil nationalists and scholars like Devana Pavanar argue it's historical with Leomura as its western name. The epic Silapatikaram recounts princesses wielding advanced weaponry. Perhaps echoes of lost metallurgy or energy devices. Intriguingly, marine archaeology off India's Gulf of Cam reveals submerged structures, grid-like streets, and artifacts dated to 9,000 years BC, predating known civilizations. What if Kumari Kandam was an outpost of a 100,000-year society? Its sages mastering Ada and astronomy. Their star maps etched in temple ceilings. Conspiracy angles suggest colonial powers suppressed evidence to undermine indigenous histories. Ponder the Ramseta Bridge, a chain of Shahs between India and Sri Lanka, mythically built by Rama's army. Natural limestone, or ancient engineering, as monsoon rains pattern in your reverie. Question if Tamil epics preserve blueprints for technologies like Vimanas, flying machines powered by Mercury. Turning northward to the frozen tundras. Hyperia emerges as a polar paradise in Greek mythology. A land beyond the north wind where the sun shone eternally and inhabitants lived in perpetual youth and peace. Herodotus and Pindar described it as home to Apollo's favored people. Giants who built cyclopean walls and communed with gods. Renaissance maps placed it near the Arctic. perhaps Greenland or Siberia, before ice claimed it. Russian esotericists like Alexander Dugin revive it as a spiritual homeland linking to Aryan origins and hidden knowledge. Geological evidence of a warmer Arctic during interglacial periods supports a habitable zone 100,000 years ago, with mammoth graveyards hinting at sudden cataclysms. Could Hypereia be a memory of an advanced northern society harnessing geothermal energies amid ice sheets? Anomalous finds like the Siberian Golden Woman statues and mammoth ivory carvings suggest sophisticated artistry. Why do Inuit legends speak of a great land sunk by shifting poles? As auroras dance in your vision, wonder if its people migrated south, carrying runes and shamanic wisdom that influenced Norse sagas. Hidden in Himalayan mists lies Shambhala, a mystical kingdom from Tibetan Buddhism, described in the Kalachakra Tantra as a pure land of enlightened beings protected by snow-capped peaks and illusionary barriers. Nicholas Roy's expeditions in the 190 seconds sought it, inspired by tales of flying discs and ageless sages guarding the world's fate. Blavatsky integrated it into theosophy as a repository of ancient wisdom, perhaps linked to Atlantis survivors. What if Shambhala conceals remnants of a 100,000 year society? This crystal city's powered by Vil energy, a universal force. Reports of underground tunnels in the region explored by Nazis seeking Aryan roots add layers of intrigue. Ponder are UFO sightings over the Himalayas as guardians of this realm. Across the Atlantic in Mesoamerica, Elsdon beckons as the Aztec homeland, a reed-filled island from which they migrated southward. Codex depict it as a paradise of 7 caves lost to floods or earthquakes. Theorists connect it to Atlantis with pyramids aligning to shared constellations. Could it echo a Pacific crossing culture from 100,000 years ago? Underwater sites off Yucatan tease at possibilities. In Arabian sands, Iram of the Pillars rises from the Quran as a city of lofty towers built by the AD people and destroyed by a sandstorm for their arrogance. Rabalsi expeditions seek its ruins, perhaps tied to ancient trade routes. What if Iram housed technologies like weather control, punished by divine or natural forces? These myths converge in a symphony of loss. Floods as comet impacts, golden ages as advanced eras. Do they encode a 100,000 year society's fall? Survivors scattering knowledge. As night deepens, let curiosity linger. In the flickering light of genetic code unraveling like an ancient scroll, humanity's story reveals itself not as a steady march from caves to cosmos, but as a labyrinth of enigmas, where our very DNA holds clues to origins that defy the textbooks. What if the blueprint of who we are was drafted not by random evolution alone, but by deliberate hands? Ancient engineers from a forgotten epoch or visitors from distant stars. As we peel back the layers of our species' past, stretching back 300,000 years to the dawn of Homo sapiens, questions emerge like shadows at twilight. Why does such a vast dark age dominate our timeline with no trace of cities or inventions for 95% of our existence? Could this silence mask a history of manipulation where we were shaped, enhanced, or even created to serve purposes long obscured? Join me, Mr. H, on Codex of the Lost as we navigate this genetic odyssey, stirring the embers of curiosity that might illuminate whether we're the architects of our fate or mere echoes of a grander design. Begin with the skeletal framework of what science tells us. Homo sapiens emerged in Africa around 300,000 years ago, anatomically modern humans with brains as complex as ours today, capable of abstract thought, art, and intricate social bonds. Fossils from sites like Jebel Irhoud in Morocco show early signs of tool-making and fire use, while genetic studies trace our migrations out of Africa some 60 to 80,000 years later. Yet, for the overwhelming majority of this timeline over 280,000 years, we see scattered hunter-gatherer bands. No monumental architecture, no written records, just stone flakes and cave paintings that hint at untapped potential. This dark age puzzles anthropologists. If our cognitive hardware was fully wired from the start, why the delay in sparking civilization? Traditional explanations point to environmental pressures like Ice Age survival demands, stifling innovation. But probe deeper and anomalies surface genetic bottlenecks. Sudden leaps in behavior around 40,000 years ago with the Upper Paleolithic revolution of art and tools. What catalyzed these jumps? Was it a natural bloom or an infusion of knowledge from a prior advanced society? One that thrived 100,000 years earlier only to collapse and leave survivors to rebuild. Graham Hancock's theories inject a pulse of intrigue here, suggesting that human origins are punctuated by resets, cataclysmic events that erase progress and force restarts. In his framework, the Dark Ages aren't voids of inactivity, but graveyards of lost eras where pre-Ice Age civilizations rose during warmer interglacials, harnessing agriculture or seafaring before comets or floods wiped them clean. Hannock draws on evidence like the Denisova cave in Siberia, where fossils reveal interbreeding between Homo sapiens, Neanderthals, and Denisovans, hinting at a mosaic of human-like intelligences coexisting. What if these interactions weren't random, but orchestrated by an older society experimenting with hybrids to adapt to changing climates? Imagine a 100,000-year-old enclave in a fertile rift valley where elders manipulated genes using herbal precursors to CRISPR, blending traits for resilience. Hancock's critics decry a lack of direct proof. But the curiosity lingers. Why do mitochondrial DNA maps show sudden migrations that align with his proposed resets? Could the Dark Ages be deliberate amnesia, survivors scattering without records to avoid repeating past mistakes? Eric von Däniken takes this speculation interstellar, proposing in Chariots of the Gods that our origins involve extraterrestrial tinkering. He interprets Sumerian myths of the Anunnaki godlike beings from the planet Nibiru as alien miners who genetically engineered Homo sapiens from ape-like ancestors to serve as laborers for gold extraction. Ancient tablets describe these gods mixing their essence with clay, a poetic stand-in for DNA splicing. Von Däniken points to the sudden appearance of Homo sapiens' advanced traits, larger brains. Bipedalism refined for endurance is too abrupt for Darwinian evolution, suggesting an external boost. Geneticists counter with natural selection. But anomalies like the FOXP2 gene linked to language and showing rapid mutations fuel debate. What if 100,000 years ago, alien scouts landed amid early hominins, selecting and enhancing groups to create a workforce? The Rh-negative blood type, absent in rhesus monkeys and rare in humans, is cited by theorists as an alien marker, incompatible in pregnancies without modern medicine. Ponder the implications. Our drive for gold from ancient rituals to modern economies as a programmed remnant of this servitude. Von Däniken's ideas popularized in Ancient Aliens invite wonder. Do crop circles or Nazca lines encode genetic instructions from these visitors waiting for us to decode? Delve into the genetic tapestry itself where enigmas are bound. Modern humans carry 1 to 2% Neanderthal DNA in non-African populations, conferring traits like immune boosts or skin adaptations, while some Asian and Oceanian groups bear Denisovan genes, linked to high-altitude tolerance. These admixtures dated to 40 to 60,000 years ago suggest intimate encounters. But what if they represent hybrid experiments by an advanced precursor society? Picture a 100,000-year-old laboratory in the Eurasian steppes where bioengineers, perhaps survivors of an earlier collapse, crossbreed hominin lines to forge resilient strains. The ghost DNA in West Africans from an unknown archaic human adds another layer. An undiscovered species contributing up to 19% ancestry, hinting at even more mixing. Conspiracy lenses amplify this. Were these hybrids designed for specific roles like Neanderthal strength for labor or Denise endurance for exploration? Recent studies using AI to model ancient genomes reveal unexplained jumps in cognitive genes as if accelerated by intervention. Why do some indigenous Australian genes trace back further potentially to an isolated advanced group? The curiosity builds. Our DNA is a patchwork quilt stitched by hands that might not have been entirely human. Speculation turns even wilder with non-human possibilities like the reptilian inhabitants of Lemura or pre-human Curians from the hypothesis named after them. In Blavatsky's The Secret Doctrine, Lemura hosted ethereal beings evolving into reptilian forms, masters of psychic energies before sinking into the Pacific. Could these have engineered early mammals, including our ancestors, as part of a planetary experiment? The Siluran hypothesis extends this, positing industrial civilizations millions of years ago, perhaps dinosaur descendants surviving extinctions underground. Fossil anomalies like the London hammer encased in Orvish rock, though debunked as concretion, tease at such deep time tech. What if reptilian geneticists 100,000 years ago during a warm spell tweaked primate lines to create intelligent successors? Native American Hopi legends of ant people or lizard beings, guiding humanity underground during cataclysms echo this. David Icke's controversial theories claim shape-shifting reptilians still influence us, their DNA lingering in elite bloodlines. Dismissed as fantasy. Yet the question tantalizes our unexplained genomic junk sequences alien code activating under certain stars. These threads converge in a profound reevaluation. What if we're not the pinnacle of evolution, but our engineered iteration? Smarter in some ways, yet blind to our makers. The Dark Ages might be recovery periods after interventions. Our brains wired for amnesia to prevent overload. Ancient texts like the Popol Vuh describe gods molding humans from maize after failed attempts, metaphors for genetic trials as CRISPR revives these possibilities. Today, curiosity swells. Could sequencing ancient DNA unlock suppressed memories, revealing we were crafted by ancients who walked among us, or aliens who watched from afar? Yet amid the wonder, a humbling note: if engineered, our origins bind us to a cosmic family, urging empathy over dominance. Or does it warn of cycles where creators become obsolete? The enigmas persist, drawing us to explore fossils, myths, and our own blood for answers. If these origin riddles intrigue, subscribe and hit the bell to uncover more in your nocturnal quests. Rest now as your dreams decode the helix of humanity's hidden past. Beneath the restless surface of our planet, where continents drift like nomadic giants and oceans guard their depths with unyielding pressure, Earth paints a canvas of turmoil and transformation. This is no static portrait, but a living masterpiece etched by ice ages that sculpted vast realms, floods that reshape destinies, and landscapes now veiled in mystery. 100,000 years ago, during the throes of the last glacial maximum, our world was a theater of extremes. Frozen expanses, locking away water, exposing hidden bridges of land, and concealing secrets that modern science is only beginning to unearth. What forces molded this turbulent stage? And what echoes of ancient ingenuity might lie buried in its folds? As we traverse this geological saga from polar ice caps to submerged plains, prepare to question the stability of the ground beneath us. For Earth's history is a chronicle of impermanence, where today's shores were yesterday's valleys and tomorrow's discoveries could upend our grasp of the past. Envision the ice ages not as distant footnotes, but as epic chapters that redefined life's possibilities. the Plian epoch spanning from about 2.5 million to 11,700 years ago saw Earth cycle through at least 17 major glaciations, each locking up immense volumes of water in ice sheets miles thick. 100,000 years ago, during marine isotope stage 5, a brief interglacial warmth gave way to the encroaching chill of stage 4. With global temperatures plummeting and sea levels dropping by up to 120 m. This wasn't uniform frost. The tropics simmered with life, connecting Siberia to Alaska, teeming with herds and early human migrants. What untold stories played out on these exposed terrains? Recent explorations hint at vibrant ecosystems with pollen records suggesting birch woodlands and steppe grasses supporting diverse fauna. Yet as glaciers advanced like slow-motion invaders, they ground rock into till carving fjords and valleys that would later flood. The curiosity swells. Did human-like groups exploit these transient worlds, building shelters or hunting grounds now drowned, their traces awaiting sonar sweeps? Floods. Those cataclysmic artists add dramatic strokes to this canvas, reshaping coasts and burying histories in sediment. As ice ages waned, melting glaciers unleashed torrents equivalent to thousands of Niagara Falls, raising seas at rates of meters per century. The Younger Dryas, a sudden cold snap around 12,900 years ago, may have stemmed from a massive freshwater pulse disrupting ocean currents. But echoes of earlier deluges 100,000 years back suggest cyclical upheavals. Imagine the Black Sea transforming from a freshwater lake to a saline expanse in a biblical-style flood around 7,500 years ago, inspiring Noah's Ark tales. But probe deeper. Submarine canyons. Vast undersea gorges rivaling the Grand Canyon. Carve paths from ancient rivers now submerged. In 2025, scientists mapped 300 to 32 such canyons beneath Antarctic seas, some plunging over 4,000 m formed during low sea stands when ice-free rivers raged. These chasms could hide Ice Age refugia where life clung amid chaos. What artifacts might tumble in their depths? Tools from nomadic clans or even structures from a speculative advanced enclave experimenting with glacial engineering. The flood's legacy is erasure, yet they preserve too, entombing mammoths in permafrost or pollen in lake beds, teasing at ecosystems where humans adapted or perished. Hidden landscapes emerge as the true enigmas, realms once trodden, now cloaked by water or ice, whispering of lost opportunities. Dogland, that drowned heart of Europe in the North Sea, was no mere sandbar, but a thriving mosaic of rivers, hills, and forests, connecting Britain to the continent until 8,000 years ago. New research in 2024 revealed it as a cultural hub, not just a migration route, with flint tools and harpoons dredged from its depths, indicating Mesolithic settlements. Sonar mappings show submerged river valleys like the Soton River where hunters might have tracked aurochs. But extend the gaze to 100,000 years. During earlier low stands, similar expanses could have hosted proto-societies, their footprints compacted under sediment. In 2025, archaeologists race against wind farm constructions to survey these northern Baltic sea sites, unearthing prehistoric hearths and bone fragments before turbines claim the seafloor. Curiosity beckons. What if geometric anomalies on the Baltic floor spotted in recent dives are Stone Age megastructures? Walls or enclosures from 10,000 years ago, hinting at organized communities far older than assumed. These findings stir visions of ritual sites or defenses against rising waters, their builders aware of impending doom. Across the Atlantic, the Great Lakes harbor submerged secrets that challenge our timeline. In Lake Huron, stone structures resembling hunting blinds lie 120 feet deep. Dated to 20,000 years ago, suggesting Ice Age settlements adapted to glacial lake shores. These circular arrangements, possibly caribou drives, imply coordinated societies with environmental mastery. Extend to 100,000 years. Pre-Clovis peoples or earlier migrants might have navigated these watery frontiers. Their camps now under fathoms. In the English Channel off Jersey, surveys uncover Ice Age reverts with mammoth bones and flint scatters. A landscape walked by Neanderthals and early sapiens. What dialogues occurred there? Exchanges of fire-starting techniques or symbolic art? The turbulent canvas here reveals uplift and subsidence where tectonic whims raised or sank terrains, preserving snapshots in peat bogs southward to Sahul. The ancient Suppic continent uniting Australia, New Guinea and Tasmania. Submerged landscapes paint a mosaic of human habitation. During the Ice Age, exposed shelves added millions of square kilm traversed by first Australians arriving 65,000 years ago. 2023 studies detailed these drown zones with river valleys and lakes supporting dense populations. In 2025, a high-altitude cave in the Blue Mountains yielded 693 stone artifacts from 20,000 years back, revealing Ice Age resilience in harsh uplands. But the real tease off Australia's coast. Geologists hunt for real-world Atlantis landscapes used during low-sea stands with rock art and tools suggesting advanced environmental knowledge. 100,000 years ago, Proto-Australians might have navigated these expanses. Their dream time stories encoding maps of sunken paths. Recent dives uncover potential megastructures or tool scatters, fueling speculation of early maritime cultures. Antarctica's frozen veil conceals perhaps the ultimate hidden landscape. A continent-sized archive of Ice Age drama. Subglacial lakes like Vosto preserve ancient air bubbles, while newly mapped canyons suggest rivers flowed under warmer climes. Theories of ice-free zones 100,000 years ago positive for life. Maybe even anomalous structures buried deep. Satellite anomalies hint at pyramids or bases. Though debunked as natural, they spark wonder. What if Pyrax's ice-free maps drew from ancient surveys? Underwater archaeology in 2025 brings these secrets surfacing from shipwrecks to cities with tech-like autonomous subs probing depths. In the Philippines, new dates push Ice Age occupation back with sites likely submerged. Cactus Hill in Virginia offers pre-Clovis tools. Challenging migration models. June 2025 discoveries include Australia's oldest Ice Age site with precision-dated megaliths in Carrick and walled oases in Saudi deserts. This turbulent canvas ice sculpting. Floods erasing. Landscapes hiding. 100,000 years ago did advanced pockets thrive on these shifting stages. Their innovations lost to the deep. As seas rise anew, time presses to uncover before more vanishes. In the hushed corridors of a dimly lit observatory, where telescopes pierce the veil of night and computers hum with the rhythm of cosmic data. A single paper from 2018 flickers into focus. A document that dares to challenge the solitude of humanity in Earth's long chronicle. This is the Siluran hypothesis. Not a declaration of discovery, but a provocative puzzle crafted by NASA climatologist Gavin Schmidt and University of Rochester astrophysicist Adam Frank. Poses a deceptively simple query. If an advanced industrial civilization existed on our planet millions or even tens of millions of years ago, would we even recognize its remnants today? Named whimsically after the reptilian Silurans from Doctor Who. This thought experiment flips the script on our search for extraterrestrial intelligence, turning the gaze inward to our own geological backyard. As we unpack this enigma layer by layer, imagine the Earth's strata as a cryptic manuscript inscribed with faint hints of vanished worlds. What subtle signals might betray a society that harnessed energies we can only guess at? One that rose and fell 100,000 years or more in the past. The allure lies not in concrete ruins, but in elusive traces, chemical whispers, isotopic oddities that could redefine our place in the timeline of life. At its core, the Siluran hypothesis is a mirror held up to our own Anthropocene era, asking how future geologists might detect us after eons of erosion and upheaval. Schmidt and Frank argue that physical artifacts, cities, machines, monuments would be pulverized by the planet's relentless recycling. Plate tectonics subducting crust into the mantle, glaciers grinding surfaces to dust, and oceans swallowing coastlines. Instead, they propose scouting for indirect fingerprints in the rock record, anomalies that no natural process could fully explain. Consider carbon spikes in sediment layers, sudden surges in greenhouse gases like those we're pumping out today through fossil fuel combustion. An ancient industrial society burning biomass or hydrocarbons might leave similar imprints detectable in ice cores or ocean mud even after millions of years. Recent reflections on this idea, as explored in a June 2025 article from Science Focus, emphasize how such signals could mimic natural events like volcanic outbursts, making differentiation a detective's challenge. But the hypothesis urges us to look anyway, suggesting that our ability to spot these clues is limited by our expectations. If we assume we're the first, we might overlook the echoes of predecessors. Delving into these clues, isotopic ratios emerge as tantalizing breadcrumbs. Stable isotopes of elements like carbon, oxygen, or nitrogen can shift dramatically under industrial influence. For instance, nuclear activities produce rare isotopes such as plutonium-244 or technetium-99, which decay over vast timescales but leave detectable residues. Schmidt and Frank highlight how our atomic age has scattered such markers globally, from bomb tests to reactor leaks. An ancient equivalent, perhaps a civilization experimenting with fish and for energy, could imprint similar signatures in ancient strata. The Oklo Natural Nuclear Reactor in Gabon, Africa, dated to about 1.7 billion years ago, offers a natural analog uranium deposits that spontaneously fished, creating plutonium and other byproducts. While explained as a geological fluke, some fringe interpreters whisper of artificial origins, an alien or pre-human experiment gone airy. A ZME Science piece from June 2025 revisits this, noting how the Siluran lens reframes Oklo as a model for what engineered nuclear sites might look like after eons depleted uranium veins and anomalous fish products scattered in. Or imagine probing Precambrian rocks for such irregularities. A spike in neodymium-142 or curium-247 could signal not just natural decay but deliberate harnessing of atomic forces. The question tantalizes. Did a society 100,000 years ago split atoms in subterranean labs, their waste now masquerading as meteoritic debris? Synthetic compounds add another layer to this geological southing. Materials forged in labs that persist far beyond natural organics. Plastics, for example, break down into microfiltrate sediments, while fluorocarbons, like those in refrigerants, linger in the atmosphere for millennia. Schmidt and Frank speculate that an ancient industrial era might leave analogous pollutants, perhaps exotic polymers or alloys locked in deep sea cores or amber deposits. Recent 2025 discussions, such as a Medium article from February, extend this to reevaluate anomalous hydrocarbon layers in ancient shells, questioning if they're solely from algal blooms or hints of synthetic chemistry. Picture Sing into Antarctic ice, extracting bubbles that trap not just CO2, but traces of chlorofluorocarbons from a vanished ozone-depleting industry. The hypothesis warns that these signals fade with time. Subduction zones melt evidence into magma while weathering disperses chemicals. Yet in stable cratons, ancient unmoving continental hearts like the Canadian Shield, such clues might endure, waiting for drills to reveal them. The curiosity here is twofold. What unnatural molecules might we find? And why haven't we looked harder? Mining scars and resource depletions form subtler yet compelling indicators. Scars on the Earth's skin from large-scale extraction. Modern mining leaves voids, tailings piles, and depleted ore bodies. Over geological time, these fill with sediment or erode. But isotopic shifts in surrounding rocks persist. An ancient civilization strip mining rare earths for tech could leave enriched zones of elements like neodymium or lithium. Unnatural concentrations in strata. The hypothesis draws parallels to our plundering of fossil fuels, which alters global carbon cycles detectable in tree rings or coral. A Therapy Birmingham blog post from August 2025 philosophically ties this to humility, suggesting that recognizing such depletions forces us to confront our own impermanence. Envision satellite surveys spotting hemomagnetic anomalies over buried pits or deep drilling hitting veins stripped clean millennia ago. 100,000 years back during interglacial lulls. A society might have quarried for crystals or metals. Their operations now ghosted in soil profiles. Controversies arise with sites like South Africa's Clerk spheres. Grooved metallic orbs from Precambrian deposits. Dismissed as natural but speculated as ancient tech components. The enigma deepens with biological markers. Disruptions in ecosystems that signal intelligent interference. Mass extinctions or biodiversity shifts could stem from pollution or overhunting. Our era's sixth extinction mirrors this, with species vanishing at accelerated rates. Schmidt and Frank proposed scanning fossil records for abrupt changes. Sudden pollen declines, indicating deforestation or microacyl anomalies from acid rain. A July 2025 YouTube analysis revisits this, linking to potential pre-human events like the Paleocene-Eocene thermal maximum. A warming spike 56 million years ago that might mimic industrial greenhouse effects. What if microbial mats in ancient lakes preserve traces of heavy metal poisoning from factories? Curiosity peaks with living fossils like coelacanths, survivors of deep-time upheavals. Did they witness civilizations rise and pollute before retreating to abyssal refuse? Conspiratorial undercurrents swirl around these clues, transforming science into speculation. The Oklo reactor, for instance, fuels tales of alien power plants. Its self-sustaining fish seen as too perfect for nature. A Pacific Class post from November 2024 humorously posits as ancient overlords. Their intelligence leaving no bones but chemical legacies. March 2025's Ancient Origins article discusses nanodiamonds in sediments as comet impacts or nuclear detonations from lost wars. These fringes ask, are governments suppressing drill cores showing synthetic isotopes? Fearing revelations of prior tenets. Schmidt and Frank's work, as echoed in a January 2025 interconnected blog, reminds us that absence of evidence isn't evidence of absence. Our search methods are tuned for recent history, not deep time. As we circle back, the Quran enigma isn't about proving vanished worlds, but probing our blindness to them. 100,000 years ago, amid thawing glaciers, a society might have industrialized subtly. Their clues now faint echoes in rock. Recent 2025 reevaluations, like those in Global Science News, urge interdisciplinary hunts combining geology, chemistry, and AI to scan for anomalies. The thrill is in the hunt. A single isotopic outlier could shatter our isolation, revealing Earth as a palimpsest of intelligences. These scientific whispers beckon further exploration. Dear listeners, in the velvet hush of a starless night, where the Earth's ancient wounds pulse with untold stories, we confront the harrowing question that haunts every tale of lost grandeur. What force could erase an advanced society so utterly that only whispers remain? 100,000 years ago, as our planet teetered on the brink of profound change, Catastrophes loomed like shadows, capable of toppling empires built on ingenuity and ambition. These were not mere accidents of nature, but cataclysmic symphonies, volcanic furies, cosmic barges, climatic tempests, and perhaps the self-inflicted scars of hubris that might have silenced voices far wiser than our own. As we sift through these doomsdays, each one a riddle wrapped in geological code, feel the chill of possibility. Did these events snuff out a civilization that dreamed of stars? Or did survivors carry fragments of their legacy into our blood? Volcanic eruptions stand as fiery harbingers, their wrath reshaping worlds in plumes of ash and molten rage. Consider the Toba supereruption around 74,000 years ago, a cataclysm so immense it blanketed the skies in darkness, triggering a volcanic winter that may have bottlenecked human populations to mere thousands. But rewind further to events nearer our 100,000-year mark, like the explosive stirrings of supervolcanoes that punctuated the Pleistocene. Recent 2025 analyses revisit how such blasts could have unleashed sulfur aerosols, cooling the globe by several degrees and devastating ecosystems. Imagine a society thriving in fertile valleys, their crystal spires harnessing geothermal power, only for a caldera to rupture beneath them, rivers of lava swallowing cities, toxic gases poisoning the air. The curiosity ignites. Did precursors to Toba, like eruptions in the Campi Flegrei around 100,000 years ago, foreshadow this doom? Their ash layers now hidden in ocean sediments, mingling with artifacts of a lost age. Studies from August 2025 highlight how these events altered migration patterns, forcing early humans into refugia, where innovation either flourished or faded. What if an advanced enclave experimenting with seismic prediction failed to foresee the quake that cracked their foundations? Burying knowledge in pyrolastic flows, the Ashfall's legacy endures in genetic scars, a silent testament to survival's razor edge. Asteroid impacts crash into this narrative like celestial hammers, their scars etched in craters and iridium layers. While the Chicxulub strike 66 million years ago ended the dinosaurs, smaller but devastating collisions pepper the last 100,000 years. The Rio Cuarto craters in Argentina dated to around 100,000 years ago suggest a barrage that could have ignited wildfires across continents. Tsunamis reshaping coasts. Ponder the fallout. A society with observatories tracking the heavens, their warnings unheeded as a fireball streaks across the sky, vaporizing metropolises in shock waves. Recent research on nanodiamonds in sediments points to air bursts around this era, microscopic evidence of explosions that blanketed regions in dust, blocking sunlight for years. The intrigue deepens. Did these impacts coincide with population dips, as hinted in genomic studies showing bottlenecks where humanity clung by threads? Envision survivors emerging from bunkers, their tech shattered, reverting to stone tools amid irradiated wastelands. Questions cascade. Were these rocks from space random or harbingers of cosmic cycles like the Taurid meteor stream that might have pelted Earth periodically? A July 2025 study links such events to megapora extinctions, wondering if intelligent precursors fell victim. 2. The enigma of buried impact glass teases at hidden kill zones where advanced relics might lie fused in vitrified soil. Climate shifts weave a subtler yet insidious thread, transforming paradises into barren wastes over generations. 100,000 years ago marked the onset of the last ice age's intensification, with orbital wobbles and Milankovitch cycles tipping the balance toward glacial advance. Seas retreated, exposing lands ripe for settlement only for advancing ice to crush them under frozen weight. A 2022 study revisited in 2025 discussions pinpoints atmospheric changes, perhaps from volcanic CO2 dips that plunge temperatures, freezing rivers, and starving crops. Picture a civilization reliant on stable monsoons. Their hydroponic gardens withering as droughts gripped the tropics. Migrations clashing in resource wars. The wonder arises. Did rapid oscillations like Dengardioesca events swing from warmth to cold in decades? Collapsing supply chains and eroding societal bonds. Genomic evidence from 2023, updated in 2025, reveals a near-extinction bottleneck around 930,000 years ago, but similar stresses echoed later, culling populations to echoes. What if an advanced group engineering climate domes watched helplessly as polar shifts amplified the chill? Their fusion reactors failing in the frost. Curiosity probes the permafrost where mammoth tusks and human tools intermingle, hinting at shared fates. Rising seas at interglacial ends drowned. Coastal hubs. Submerging tech that might have rivaled ours. Magnetic field collapses introduce a ethereal peril, stripping away our planetary shield against solar onslaught. Recent 2025 studies document 5 such weakenings in the past 100,000 years, each linked to environmental upheavals and evolutionary leaps. The Lachamps excursion 41,000 years ago saw the field dwindle to 5% strength, bombarding life with cosmic rays that mutated DNA and scorched skins. A July 2025 report details how this radiation spike may have driven humans into caves, fostering art bursts amid peril. Extend to earlier flips around 100,000 years. Weakened fields, amplified solar flares, frying electronics, if any existed, or inducing auroras that disrupted migrations. The Monal excursion 33,000 years ago mirrored this with ozone depletion heightening UV exposure. Enigma unfolds. Did a society with electromagnetic tech suffer blackouts as poles wandered, their grids collapsing under geomagnetic storms? 2025 audio recreations of field flips evoke eerie symphonies. Sonic ghosts of vulnerability. Questions swirl when Neanderthal extinctions tied to radiation-induced sterility, clearing paths for sapiens. These events recurring every 20,000 years or so suggest a cycle where protection falters, exposing life to stellar whims. Self-destruction lurks as the most poignant end where intelligence turns inward like a venomous serpent. Overexploitation deforesting for fuel. Polluting rivers with industrial waste could have tipped ecosystems into collapse, mirroring our modern plights. 100,000 years ago, a society mining rare minerals might have unleashed toxins, sterilizing soils and birthing famines. Wars over dwindling resources amplified by advanced weaponry. Perhaps sonic disruptors or bioagents could raise cities in firestorms. The Tober bottleneck echoes this with human numbers crashing to thousands. Perhaps from societal fallout post-eruption. Curiosity probes. Did ideological schisms fracture unity? Or pandemics engineered in labs spiral out of control? Megaporna extinctions over the last 100,000 years linked to human hunting suggest overhunting by organized groups. Imagine hubs of innovation crumbling under civil strife. Knowledge scattered like ashes. 2025 reflections on ancient DNA reveal violence markers in bones hinting at turbulent ends. Pandemics and diseases weave a silent doom. Invisible reapers felling the mighty. Climate shifts could have unleashed pathogens from melting permafrost or dense populations bred superbugs. The Black Death's medieval echo scaled up. A virus jumping from labs or animals decimating experts first. Genetic studies show ancient plagues leaving immunity scars. What if Bopopins meant for defense backfired? These ends. Volcanic, asteroidal, climatic, magnetic, self-inflicted, interlace in a web of fate, each capable of erasing traces. 100,000 years ago, A confluence might have struck. Survivors rebuilding in ignorance. Recent 2025 genomic work on bottlenecks. 900 Kelvin years ago with only 280 breeding individuals teases at similar crises. The wonder endures, were the ancients victims of nature's caprice or their own ambition? As megaporna vanished under human pressure, so might have prior peaks. In this mosaic of ruin, hope flickers lessons for our era where similar threats loom. Did they leave warnings in myths or genes? The catastrophes call us to reflect. Dear listeners, in the labyrinthine world of archaeology, where shovels and brushes unear fragments of bygone eras, there exists a vast expanse of shadows, blind spots that swallow potential revelations whole. These are not mere oversights, but systemic gaps born from human limitations, environmental barriers, and perhaps a touch of institutional inertia that prevent us from glimpsing societies far older and more sophisticated than our records allow. 100,000 years ago, when our ancestors navigated a world of shifting climates and untamed wilderness, could an advanced culture have flourished in pockets of ingenuity only to evade our modern gaze? The question isn't just about what we found, but what we've failed to seek, or what the earth itself has conspired to conceal. As we navigate these overlooked realms, from biased digs to uncharted depths, let the intrigue build. What treasures lie just beyond our tools' reach, waiting to shatter our timelines? Archaeology, for all its triumphs, is tethered to the tangible, the durable relics that withstand millennia of decay. Yet this focus creates a profound blind spot. Survival bias, where we reconstruct the past from what endures, ignoring the ephemeral genius that might have defined an ancient society. Stone tools and pottery shards dominate our museums because they persist. But what of biodegradable composites, wooden mechanisms, or organic circuits that could have powered a civilization 100,000 years ago? A 2023 Quora discussion still relevant in 2025 debates highlights how mainstream archaeology often dismisses speculative evidence of advanced ancients rooted in 17th–19th century occult ideas, yet perhaps overlooking subtle clues in favor of conservative interpretations. The field prioritizes sites with known historical ties like Roman ruins or Egyptian tombs, funneling funding into familiar territories while vast swaths of prehistory remain undug. This echo chamber effect means we're building narratives on incomplete data, potentially missing entire chapters where early humans or their predecessors experimented with technologies that left no lasting mark. Intrigue mounts. If a society mastered sustainable, non-metallic innovations like plant-based energy systems, their legacy might dissolve into soil, indistinguishable from natural debris. Recent calls in 2025 forums urge a paradigm shift. But until we broaden our lens, these blind spots persist, teasing at what we've unwittingly ignored. Funding and priorities exacerbate these gaps, channeling resources toward high-profile excavations that promise quick returns. Tourism dollars, media buzz, or academic prestige rather than risky ventures into the unknown. In 2025, as budgets tighten amid global economic shifts, archaeologists grapple with this reality. A Science Daily report from April notes how ancient DNA from Phoenician sites challenges timelines. Yet such studies compete for grants against more marketable digs. Imagine proposing a deep-sea probe for submerged Ice Age settlements. The cost rivals space missions with uncertain yields. Institutions favor safe bets like revisiting Göbekli, where 2025 updates reveal more enigmatic carvings. But what of the ocean floors covering 70% of Earth largely unmapped beyond basic bathymetry? This selective vision creates echo chambers where theories of ancient advanced civilizations are sidelined as fringe despite anomalies like the antither mechanism pushing back mechanical complexity. The curiosity here is electric. How many proposals for remote sensing in Antarctic subglacial lakes get rejected, potentially overlooking evidence of warm period refugia where ingenuity thrived? As a Reddit thread from 2023 echoed in 2025 discussions argues the absence of an advanced civilization 12,000 years ago might stem from lack of traces, not existence yet. Without funding to search submerged continents, we'll never know. Methodological limitations form another chasm where tools honed for recent history falter against deep times erasers. Radiocarbon dating excels up to 50,000 years, but beyond that, techniques like optically stimulated luminescence grapple with contamination and precision loss. Excavations rarely penetrate beyond a few meters. Missing layers compressed by geological forces over 100,000 years. A 2025 YouTube analysis from June discusses how new finds like Europe's oldest battlefield or Inca tunnels challenge methods, urging AI integration for pattern recognition in vast datasets. Yet blind spots abound. Satellite imagery spots surface anomalies. But subsurface mysteries require ground-penetrating radar limited by terrain and expense. In dense jungles or arid deserts, vegetation or sand obscures sites. Lyre has revolutionized Maya discoveries, revealing hidden cities in 2025's May updates, like blood caves yielding ritual artifacts, but for underwater realms, where post-Ice Age floods submerged potential hubs. Challenges multiply, currents erode, sediments bury, and pressure crushes. The enigma whispers, what if a society's non-stone architecture, like woven habitats or bioluminescent structures, evades detection entirely? As a 2025 Science Daily piece on Southeast Asian maritime tech reveals, bold reimaginings of prehistory emerge from overlooked islands, hinting at advanced navigation far earlier than thought. These tools evolve, but until we adapt them for speculative searches, blind spots widen. Unexplored territories compound the mystery. Vast regions where human feet or drones have scarcely tread, holding keys to rewritten histories. Antarctica's sub-ice landscapes mapped in 2025 with new radar reveal ancient riverbeds and lakes, potential havens during warmer spells 100,000 years ago. Yet extreme conditions deter digs. What microbial life or artifacts lurk in Lake Vesto's depths? Oceanic trenches like the Mariana plunge 11 kilometers. Their floors are graveyard of sunken lands. 2025 explorations uncover shipwrecks challenging timelines but pre-human anomalies. The Amazon's dense canopy hides pyramids and geoglyphs. LiDAR in 2025 unveiling more. Yet vast tracts remain virgin. Curiosity surges. Siberian permafrost thaws yielding mammoths and tools. But deeper freezes might preserve entire villages from glacial maxima. Deserts like the Sahara, once lush savannas, bury oases under dunes. 2025 finds in Iraq shed light on Mesopotamian gaps. But northern Africa's blind spots persist. High mountains like the Andes or Himalayas guard cave systems where altitude preserves organics. Recent Peruvian city discoveries from June 2025 push back timelines. These frontiers tempt if a society retreated to such isolates their solar-powered enclaves or genetic labs could await untouched by looters or time. Institutional and cultural biases cast long shadows steering archaeology toward narratives that fit prevailing worldviews. Eurocentric lenses historically prioritized classical sites, marginalizing African or Asian origins. 2025 pushes back with Phoenician DNA challenging Mediterranean dominance. Yet, skepticism greets alternative theories of advanced ancients labeled pseudoscience despite intriguing outliers. A Facebook video from March 2025 speculates on non-human civilizations. Their astronomical feats dismissed. Political hurdles block access. Conflict zones like Syria hide Assyrian wonders while indigenous rights protect sacred grounds from invasive digs. The wonder builds. How many sites lie under modern cities like Istanbul's Byzantine layers bulldozed for development? Ethical dilemmas arise. disturbing graves for knowledge or leaving blind spots intact. Recent discoveries in 2025 hint at closing these gaps. Fueling curiosity. July's finds include Europe's oldest battlefield and Inca tunnels, challenging warfare and engineering timelines. June's Southeast Asian maritime evidence reimagines prehistory with advanced boats. April's global uncovers from Cleopatra's kin to Pompeii spars expand horizons. January. February's Archaeology magazine Top 10 for 2024 teases 2025 potentials like Maya dances and Roman towns. These breakthroughs suggest blind spots shrinking. Yet vast unknowns remain. AI and remote sensing promise more. But will they reveal a 100,000-year enigma? Speculation thrives in these voids. Perhaps governments suppress finds like alleged Smithsonian giants to uphold timelines. Or natural cycles recycle evidence. Subduction melting cities into mantle. The intrigue. As climate change exposes coasts, new sites emerge, but rising seas threaten others. What if the next flood buries our own blind spots? These archaeological shadows invite endless pondering. Dear listeners, a realm where the unfound beckons louder than the discovered. I am Mr. H on Codex of the Lost. If these gaps intrigue, subscribe and ring the bell to bridge them together. Rest now as curiosity drifts you toward dreams of unearthed truths. In the soft glow of twilight imagination, where the boundaries of what we know blur into the realm of what could have been, we venture into visions of societies that defy our conventional blueprints of progress. These are not the towering metropolises of steel and circuit we equate with advancement, but enigmatic cultures 100,000 years ago, perhaps weaving existence from the very fabric of nature itself. Biodegradable wonders, living energies, and harmonious enclaves that left no scars on the earth. What if our ancestors or some parallel branch of intelligence pursued paths so alien to our industrial mindset that their legacies whisper only in the wind, unseen by our metal detectors and concrete expectations? As we explore these alternative tapestries, each thread pulls us deeper into wonder. Could such societies have ascended beyond physical bounds, gifting us subtle inheritances we mistake for instinct? Let curiosity be your lantern. Dear listeners, as we reimagine the possible, drawing from echoes of ancient ingenuity that challenge us to see progress not as conquest but as symbiosis. Envision a world where technology blooms not from forges and factories, but from the pulse of life itself. Biological innovations that harness the innate power of organisms, turning forests into power grids and bodies into extensions of the environment. 100,000 years ago, during fleeting interglacials when the planet breathed warmer, a society might have mastered genetic weaving, engineering plants to glow with bioluminescence or vines to conduct energy like living wires. Recent reflections on prehistoric adaptations, such as a 2025 analysis in Ancient Origins exploring mind-bending possibilities of lost civilizations 10,000 years ago, suggest early humans manipulated ecosystems in ways we're only now rediscovering through synthetic biology. What if these ancients cultivated symbiotic relationships with microbes, creating self-healing materials from fungal networks that repaired shelters overnight? Modern mycology echoes this, with 2025 studies on ancient DNA revealing microbial communities in Ice Age soils that could have been farmed for antibiotics or fertilizers, far predating our labs. The intrigue lies in the invisibility. Such tech would decompose seamlessly, leaving no rusting hulks, but enriching the soil for future generations. Did they bioengineer crops that communicated via root signals, forming intelligent agriculture that adapted to droughts without human intervention? As we ponder, the question arises, could our own gut microbiomes carry vestiges of these ancient partnerships, subtly influencing our health in ways we attribute to evolution alone? Shift your gaze to societies unbound by metals, where strength flowed, from renewable ingenuity rather than mind OES, foregoing iron and bronze. These envisionaries might have forged alliances with nature's composites. Bamboo lattices reinforced with spider silk analogs or shells hardened through biochemical processes. A Wikipedia overview of ancient technologies highlights how early civilizations in the Americas developed sophisticated alloys without beasts of burden, relying on natural materials for aqueducts and terracing that rival modern engineering. 100,000 years ago in lush valleys now submerged. A culture could have perfected enziatic forging, using acids from fermented plants to shape stone or wood into tools sharper than steel. The mystery deepens with artifacts like the Lyris cup, a Roman nanotechnology marvel from centuries later that changes color with light crafted from gold-silver nanoparticles. Imagine if prehistoric innovators achieved similar feats with organic dyes or pollen-derived pigments. No trace, because their creations were designed to return to the earth, biodegrading after use, a sustainability we strive for today amid plastic oceans. Curiosity beckons. Did they avoid metals deliberately, viewing mining as a violation of the land's spirit? Or did geological shifts recycle their rare experiments into unrecognizable forms? Recent 2025 discoveries, such as preserved brains from ancient sites cataloged in Science News, hint at neurological adaptations that might have stemmed from such harmonious living. Brains wired for empathy with the ecosystem now contemplate cities that weren't cities at all. Dispersed networks of self-sufficient havens, where population bloomed in balance rather than sprawl, instead of dense urban cores devouring resources. These societies might have favored nomadic hubs, seasonal gatherings in geodesic domes woven from living vines that grew and adapted with the inhabitants. Eric von Daniken's Chariots of the Gods posits extraterrestrial influences, gifting such knowledge with ancient texts describing flying chariots as metaphors for bioluminescent transports powered by engineered algae. 100,000 years ago, amid grasslands teeming with megaporna, communities could have linked via mycelial communication networks underground, fungi relaying messages like a natural internet. A 2025 Scientific American revisit of the Curran hypothesis explores pre-human industrial traces. But what if non-industrial alternatives left even fainter marks, pollen signatures of engineered flora in sediment cores? The allure intensifies. Without monumental architecture, their cities might appear as anomalous biodiversity hotspots, forests denser and more diverse due to intentional stewardship. Did they achieve longevity through herbal elixir? As hinted in 2025 analyses of ancient betel nut chewing in Thailand, preserving cultural knowledge across generations without written scripts. Questions cascade. Could shamanic visions common in indigenous law be remnants of neural interfaces with plant intelligences, allowing collective decision-making without hierarchies? Alien influences weave an even more tantalizing veil, suggesting these alternative paths were seeded by cosmic visitors. Von Daniken's theories echoed in a 2024 Lex Friedman transcript, with Graham Hancock propose ETS imparted non-destructive tech like harmonic levitation for megaliths, avoiding environmental scars. What if 100,000 years ago, starfaring mentors taught bioresonance, tuning human frequencies to heal or communicate telepathically? As speculated in 2025 Quora discussions on pre-human civilizations, the mystery unfolds. Crop circles, often dismissed, might mimic ancient patterns for energy harvesting from ley lines, non-industrial grids drawing from Earth's magnetic fields. Recent 2025 perspectives on planetary visions in international history tie this to unified human-alien collaborations, fostering societies that ascended spiritually rather than materially. Did they evolve beyond physical needs, phasing into higher dimensions and leaving us in a material dark age? Curiosity probes our dreams of utopia from Atlantis to Shambhala could be genetic memories of these ethereal realms, Stability over expansion defines these visions. Cultures choosing equilibrium to avoid collapse. Britannica's History of Tech Notes. Ancient China's bureaucratic resistance to innovation. Preserving harmony at the cost of growth. 100,000 years ago, a society might have capped populations through conscious reproduction, focusing on inner evolution. Meditative tech. Enhancing cognition without gadgets. The wonder. Did they foresee our industrial pitfalls? Embedding warnings in myths like the Hindu Vedas' cyclical ages. 2025 Reddit world-building threads imagine such civs dying from AI uprisings or cosmic insights ascending beyond corporeal forms. Questions linger. Could quantum entanglement have linked minds globally? A telepathic web rendering travel obsolete. These alternative visions challenge us. Progress is harmony, not dominance. From biodegradable symphonies to alien-guided ascensions. They tease at possibilities where societies transcended, leaving enigmas in our DNA. Did they watch us now from spiritual veils, amused at our metal chains? The curiosity endures, inviting us to dream of paths untaken. As you linger in these visions, where in the world are you listening tonight? A cozy cabin in the Rockies, a seaside nook in Bali, or a bustling apartment in Seoul? What's the hour where you are as these ancient dreams unfold? Drop a quick note below to share your corner of the globe with our fellow seekers. In the intricate weave of our own biology and the folklore that binds generations. Shadows of an ancient legacy flicker like half-remembered dreams. What if the code scripted in our cells and the stories etched in our collective soul carry imprints from a society that thrived 100,000 years ago? Advanced minds whose innovations, triumphs, and perhaps even their downfall echo through us. These genetic and cultural vestiges aren't bold declarations, but subtle murmurs, inviting us to trace connections that blur the line between inheritance and mystery. As we unravel this dual tapestry, consider, do fragments of their wisdom pulse in our veins? Or do their tales warn of cycles we might repeat? The enigma unfolds not in grand revelations, but in quiet intersections, where science meets myth, stirring questions that linger long into the night. Begin with the helix of life itself, where recent genetic revelations peel back layers of human history, hinting at influences that stretch far beyond simple evolution. A study published in August 2025 by researchers at the Max Planck Institute explores ancient viral DNA embedded in our genome, suggesting these fossil viruses from tens of thousands of years ago may have shaped early human development, influencing everything from brain function to immune responses. Imagine 100,000 years back, a society experimenting with viral vectors for enhancement, perhaps to boost cognition or adapt to harsh climates, leaving these sequences as unintended heirlooms in our DNA. The intrigue heightens with discoveries from June 2025, where ancient DNA from Colombia reveals a mysterious group of humans with no modern descendants. Their genetic profile vanishing like a ghost lineage. Were they isolates of an advanced enclave? Their innovations lost to isolation or catastrophe? Their traits absorbed into neighboring populations without trace? This vanished DNA echoes in us subtly, perhaps in unexplained variations that fuel modern traits like resilience or creativity. Further strands emerge from interbreeding tales encoded in our chromosomes. July 2025. Genetic studies challenge timelines for human arrival in Australia. Analyzing DNA that suggests Neanderthal-modern human interbreeding occurred in a narrow window 50 to 43,000 years ago. But rewind to 100,000 years. Could earlier undocumented crossings with Denisovans or unknown hominins have infused advanced knowledge, toolmaking refinements, or symbolic thinking from a precursor society? A March 2025 Cambridge study unveils Hidden chapters in human evolution through computational models showing population splits and mergers that hint at orchestrated genetic flows as if guided by intentional blending. The wonder deepens. North African ancient DNA from April 2025 reveals isolated Saharan groups persisting for tens of thousands of years. Their genomes preserving adaptations that might stem from a lost technological edge. Like enhanced water conservation in arid tech havens. Do we carry these shadows in our own adaptability? Traits that seem innate but could be echoes of engineered survival strategies. May 2025 findings near the Americas land bridge uncover another unknown group. Their DNA suggesting hunter-gatherer innovations that vanished, perhaps absorbed into broader migrations. Papio New Guinea's ancient DNA from June 2025 shows centuries of isolation. With genetic isolation preserving unique markers. Could similar seclusion 100,000 years ago have safeguarded advanced secrets later diluted in our global mix? These discoveries tantalize our genome as a palimpsest. Overwritten, but retaining faint scripts from eras of forgotten brilliance. Transitioning from cells to stories. Cultural shadows manifest in myths that span continents. Binding humanity in shared narratives of loss and renewal. Flood myths, ubiquitous across cultures, serve as potent vessels for these legacies, potentially encoding memories of real cataclysms that ended ancient worlds. A February 20120 PBS analysis still resonant in 2025 discussions notes over 200 global flood stories featuring divine anger and a chosen few survival from Mesopotamian epics to indigenous tales. But why such universality? A January 2025 Reddit interactive map catalogs over 500 flood myths, linking them to mound-building cultures that may have constructed earthen refuge against rising waters, echoing advanced engineering in symbolic forms. The curiosity swells. Answers in Genesis compiles legends pointing to a singular global event. But could they fragment a 100,000-year-old collapse? Survivors scattering tales of submerged utopias. Nautilus Magazine's 2015 piece revisited in 2025 podcasts. Ties Tibetan flood stories to actual geological upheavals, suggesting folk memories record landscapes lost to melting ice. How Stuff Works in 2023. Notes 95% of myths describe a worldwide deluge. A statistical anomaly begging questions distorted recollections of sea level rises post-Ice Age or veiled accounts of a society's hubris unleashing engineered floods. Quora threads from 2024 and 2022 speculate these myths stem from a unified event around 10,000 BC with colonial suppressions hiding indigenous truths or Mediterranean cultures sharing cataclysmic origins. A 2024 YouTube clip with Ed Barnhart and Lex Friedman probes why floods dominate every culture, linking to Graham Hancock's theories of comet impacts erasing advanced precursors. Ark Encounter traces the Babylonian Epic of Gilgamesh as the oldest flood record. But what if it draws from deeper oral traditions? 100,000 years old and of godlike foreigners teaching farming after deluges. Reddit in 2022 theorizes Black Sea populations during the Ice Age inspired these. Their homeland flooded as glaciers melted. The enigma persists. These myths as cultural DNA mutating over time but preserving kernels of truth warnings from a society that manipulated weather or genes only to face nature's backlash. Intertwining genetics and culture. These shadows suggest a profound legacy. Hybrid vigor from ancient interbreedings fueling our creativity. Myths as mnemonic devices encoding survival tech. A 2025 study on farming's disease links via ancient DNA shows leaps in pathogens with agriculture. Perhaps a shadow of earlier experiments gone airy. Do we carry their ingenuity in artistic bursts or ethical quandies? Science Die's 2025 compilation of ancient DNA news, including sloth fossils and dog migrations, broadens this. Our companions' genomes mirroring ours co-evolved in lost partnerships. If viral insertions drove development, Were they natural or engineered by ancients tinkering with heredity? These shadows, genetic whispers, and mythic echoes invite introspection. Their legacy as a bridge to forgotten wisdom or a caution against repeating errors. 100,000 years on. Do we sense their presence in intuitions or innovations that feel rediscovered? As the digital hum of our modern world fades into the background hum of contemplation, we stand at a crossroads where the ghosts of hypothetical ancient societies beckon us to pause and reflect. What if the rise and fall of a civilization 100,000 years ago isn't just a speculative footnote, but a mirror reflecting our own precarious perch on the precipice of progress? In this era of accelerating change marked by AI revolutions, climate tipping points, and geopolitical tremors, the implications ripple outward, urging a profound humility in the face of history's relentless cycles. These aren't abstract musings. They're urgent invitations to question our assumed supremacy, drawing lessons from vanished worlds that could guide us through the storms ahead. Imagine if predecessors harnessed powers we can scarcely fathom only to succumb to overreach or catastrophe. What safeguards might we erect today? The curiosity here is intoxicating. Could embracing these cycles foster resilience? Or are we doomed to echo their oblivion? Humility emerges as the first most piercing implication, a virtue that tempers our technological hubris with the wisdom of impermanence. In 2025, as global crises like resource depletion and biodiversity loss escalate, the Silurian hypothesis, revisited in a June article from ZME Science, reminds us that even industrial giants leave faint traces eroded by time's inexorable hand. This theory, positing pre-human civilizations millions of years old, fosters a scientific modesty. Our tools might miss subtle geological fingerprints just as we overlook vulnerabilities in our own systems. A Medium piece from February 2025 reevaluates civilization timelines, suggesting advanced societies predated recorded history, compelling us to admit our knowledge gaps. Today, this translates to policy. Climate scientists facing unprecedented heat waves in 2025 advocate for humble approaches, acknowledging that ancient warm periods like the Paleocene-Eocene thermal maxima mirror our greenhouse spikes potentially from prior industrial echoes. The wonder strikes. If we humble ourselves to learn from these shadows, might we avert self-destruction, redesigning economies around sustainability rather than endless growth? A Nautilus article from July 2023, still resonant, warns that ignoring such humility invites repetition of forgotten collapses. Cycles of rise and fall weave through this reflection, patterns that history and science illuminate as inescapable rhythms. George Friedman's 2025 Medium Outlook on America's Turbulent Decade draws on 80-year institutional and 50-year economic cycles, predicting upheaval akin to past resets. Extending this to ancient hypotheses, a science-focused piece from June posits that if pre-human civilizations existed, their cycles, perhaps driven by orbital shifts or internal strife, mirror our own, urging preparation for downturns. In 2025, with geopolitical tensions echoing Cold War echoes, lessons from lost empires like Rome or the Mare, detailed in a Finance and Commerce article from August, highlight overexpansion's perils where environmental neglect failed giants. The intrigue builds. NASA's evidence of 8 Ice Age cycles in the last 800,000 years suggests climatic loops that could have doomed ancient innovators, paralleling our Anthropocene disruptions. Molden Economics' 2023 analysis, updated in 2025 discussions, applies cycle science to foresee crisis, proposing that humility recognizing where mid-cycle fosters adaptive strategies like diversified energy sources. What if viewing our era as one loop in many inspires global cooperation, turning competition into collective guardianship? Social and ethical implications cascade, reshaping how we navigate inequality and innovation. A Greater Good magazine article from November 2023, revisited in 2025. Humility Initiatives profiles efforts to revive this lost virtue through historical podcasts emphasizing self-reflection as key to societal health. If ancient advanced societies collapsed from hubris, overexploiting resources, as speculated in a Palladium magazine piece from July 2025, our AI-driven world risks similar fates with algorithms amplifying divides. The John Templeton Foundation's Humble Approach initiative in 2025 gathers scholars to exchange ideas on humility's role in science, drawing from pre-modern thought to counter modern arrogance. Curiosity probes. Could fostering humility in education, teaching cycles from Sumer to Silicon Valley, cultivate leaders who prioritize equity over empire? A Nature study from January 2025 on trust in scientists across 68 countries reveals high regard, but calls for more societal engagement, echoing lessons from hypothetical ancients who might have isolated knowledge, leading to downfall in our polarized 2025. This implies bridging divides through humble dialogue, recognizing that past civilizations' innovations like Roman aqueducts influencing today's infrastructure were born from collaborative humility. Environmental stewardship surfaces as a vital takeaway, with lost civilizations offering stark warnings. A global environmental change article from 2023 cited in 2025 reviews analyzes past societal resilience, noting how over-reliance on fragile systems doomed ancients. In 2025, amid record wildfires and floods, the Siluran hypothesis implies that if prior societies altered climates through industry, their undetectable legacies' subtle isotopic shifts urge us to decarbonize swiftly. A Discover magazine piece from October 2021. Updated in discussions. Questions if we're the first. Fostering humility to preserve biodiversity before it's too late. The enigma captivates ancient Rome's modern echoes in law and tech remind us that sustainability was their blind spot, deforestation and lead poisoning hastening decline. Could 2025's push for circular economies be a rediscovery of ancient cycles where humility means living within planetary bounds? Philosophically, this hypothesis instills cosmic perspective as a welcome trust event in November 2024. Projected into 2025 outlooks, canvases science's future with humility at its core. A TNSR article from May 2024 warns against wishful thinking in geopolitics, drawing historical humility to confront axes of power. In our AI age, this means ethical innovation pausing to ask if we're accelerating toward a cycle's end. A NPR commentary from 2014. Timeless in 2025. Lessons from 177 BC collapses underscore taking civilization for granted. No more. Ultimately, these implications weave humility into action. Embracing cycles as teachers, we might forge a future resilient and wise. If ancients rose and fell, our humility could break the pattern, turning speculation into salvation. What cycle are we in? And how will we shape its arc? As the final embers of our nocturnal odyssey flicker into the vast expanse of possibility, we gather here in the sanctuary of whispers, where the unknown beckons, not as a void to fear, but as a canvas awaiting our bold strokes. Imagine standing at the edge of a cosmic shore, waves of time lapping at your feet, carrying fragments from a society that may have danced with the stars 100,000 years ago. What if their legacy isn't buried in ruins or etched in stone, but woven into the very questions we ask today? Queries that propel us toward tomorrow with a blend of awe and resolve. In this space of embracing the unknown, we don't seek closure. We cultivate curiosity, letting it bloom like night jasmine under a moonlit sky. For in the embrace of mystery lies the seed of renewal, a promise that our journey through the shadows equips us to face the dawn with wiser eyes. Let us first linger on the profound gift of uncertainty itself, a force that has shaped human endeavor since our earliest flickers of consciousness. The hypothesis of an advanced society lost to time. One that perhaps mastered harmonies of nature we can only glimpse in quantum whispers or bioluminescent dreams reminds us that knowledge is not a conquest but a courtship. In 2025, as quantum computing edges toward practical realities, with IBM unveiling breakthroughs in error-corrected qubits that could simulate molecular behaviors beyond classical limits, we stand on the cusp of rediscovering what might have been commonplace to our predecessors. What if their quantum intuitions, untethered by silicon, allowed them to entangle thoughts across distances, fostering a collective mind that dissolved the illusions of separation? This uncertainty fuels innovation. An August 2025 report from MIT Technology Review details how ancient philosophical puzzles like Zeno's paradoxes inspire modern algorithms for infinite computations, echoing perhaps the cyclical thinking of a long-vanished culture. Curiosity stirs. Could our current AI hallucinations, those creative leaps beyond data, be echoes of their intuitive leaps preserved in the neural architectures we've unwittingly rebuilt? Embracing the unknown also calls us to rekindle our bond with the natural world, viewing it not as a resource to exploit, but as a wise elder holding secrets from eons past. If an ancient society harmonized with ecosystems, engineering rivers that sang with purified flows or forests that self-regulated climates, what lessons might their downfall impart for our environmental crossroads? In July 2025, the United Nations Biodiversity Summit highlighted indigenous knowledge systems, drawing from Australian Aboriginal songlines that map landscapes over 40,000 years, potentially encoding survival strategies from even deeper times. What if these oral maps with their layered meanings of water sources and migration paths descend from a 100,000-year-old tradition of geobioengineering where landscapes were sculpted with living tools? The wonder deepens as we consider rhine projects in 2025 Europe, restoring wolf packs to balance deer populations, mirroring perhaps ancient practices of symbiotic stewardship. Curiosity whispers. In our CRISPR-edited crops resisting droughts, are we rediscovering their genetic artistry or merely catching up to a wisdom that viewed extinction as a failure of imagination? This embrace extends to our social fabrics, urging us to weave communities resilient against the isolation that might have fractured ancient bonds. If that distant society faltered from internal divisions, perhaps debates over technological ethics splintering their unity, what mirrors do we see in our 2025 world of polarized networks? A Pew Research study from June 2025 reveals how global youth movements connected via decentralized apps foster empathy across borders, echoing perhaps the telepathic collective speculated in shamanic traditions. The enigma unfolds. Could ancient cave art with its overlapping handprints from Lascaux to Sulai represent not just hunts but communal visions? Shared dreams that bound tribes in ways our social media aspires to but often fragments as we navigate misinformation storms in this election year. Embracing the unknown means cultivating discernment, a skill honed by ancestors who navigated Ice Age uncertainties without algorithms. The question lingers in our virtual realities. Are we rebuilding their immersive story circles where narratives healed divides or risking the same echo chambers that silence their voices? On a personal scale, this closing invites introspection, transforming daily routines into portals of wonder. What if the intuition guiding your choices, that gut feeling steering a career pivot or a creative spark, carries genetic whispers from those ancients? Their adaptive genius encoded in epigenetic markers responsive to stress or inspiration. Recent 2025 neuroscience from Stanford maps how ancient stress responses honed over millennia fuel modern resilience, suggesting our fight or flight evolved alongside innovative bursts during climatic upheavals. Curiosity beckons in mindfulness apps surging in popularity this year with over 500 million downloads globally. Are we tapping into their meditative technologies, harmonizing brain waves as they might have done around communal fires? Embracing the unknown here means viewing setbacks not as failures, but as cycle points, Opportunities to reinvent like phoenixes from ash. A Harvard Business Review article from May 2025 profiles leaders who thrive on uncertainty, drawing from historical figures who navigated unknowns. Much like hypothetical ancients adapting to sea-level shifts with floating habitats. Looking skyward, the implications stretch to our cosmic aspirations, where embracing the unknown fuels space exploration's next leaps. NASA's Artemis program in 2025 with lunar landings imminent echoes ancient stargazers who might have charted constellations for navigation or prophecy. What if their observatories aligned with solstices like those at Gubbleet prefigured our Hubble images revealing exoplanets teeming with potential life? A SpaceCom update from August 2025 details how James Webb Telescope data hints at biosignatures in distant atmospheres, prompting questions if an ancient Earth society reached for the stars, perhaps with anti-gravity insights lost to cataclysms. Do their failures warn us against overreaching or inspire sustainable colonization? Curiosity is growing with private projects like SpaceX's Starship experiment pushing reusable rocketry. Could this echo their reusable bio-vessels crafted from self-repping materials? In this embrace, we find motivation to protect our blue marble while venturing outward, humbled by the possibility that we're not the first to ponder if we're alone. Economically, these cycles implore a shift from linear growth to circular economies where waste becomes wealth in perpetual loops. The World Economic Forum's 2025 report on bioeconomy innovations draws from ancient fermentation techniques like those in Egyptian brewing to advocate for modern biotech that mimics nature's efficiency. What if our predecessors achieved zero-waste utopias? Their biodegradable tech inspiring today's 3D printed organs from ancient silkworm insights. Curiosity probes as cryptocurrency volatility in 2025 mirrors ancient trade collapses like the Bronze Age tin shortages. Embracing the unknown means diversifying beyond fiat, perhaps rediscovering barter systems infused with blockchain trust. A Forbes article from July 2025 explores how humility in finance acknowledging cycles leads to resilient portfolios, echoing ancient risk spreading in nomadic wealth. Spiritually and philosophically, this embrace rekindles a sense of interconnectedness, viewing humanity as threads in a grand web spanning millennia. Eastern philosophies like Taoism with their emphasis on flow and balance might echo ancient practices that harmonized with cosmic rhythms as explored in a 2025 Philosophy Now issue on lost wisdom traditions. The enigma captivates in our wellness boom with yoga retreats drawing millions. Are we channeling their energy alignments, chakras tuned to Earth's magnetic fields disrupted in past flips? Embracing the unknown fosters gratitude, an antidote to existential angst in this age of information overload. Educationally, implications demand curricula that weave humility into STEM, teaching cycles through simulations of ancient collapses. A UNESCO 2025 initiative promotes futures literacy, imagining scenarios where we learn from hypothesized predecessors, fostering innovative thinkers who question assumptions. Health-wise, this perspective encourages holistic approaches, viewing bodies as vessels of ancient resilience. 2025's genomic therapies targeting inherited traits might unlock potentials dormant since those distant days. As a Nature review from March suggests, ancient adaptations hold keys to modern diseases. Artistically, it inspires creators to blend past and future like 2025's VR experiences recreating Ice Age worlds, immersing users in hypothetical societies to evoke empathy for our fragile now. Globally, it calls for unity against shared threats as COP 3025 pushes climate accords, humbled by ancient warnings in ice cores showing repeated warmings. In closing this whisper, embracing the unknown isn't passive. It's an active quest, transforming fear into fuel for tomorrow. If they existed, their cycle teaches us to break ours, building legacies that endure not in stone, but in sustainable spirits. What unknown awaits your embrace, shaping a future where we too become legends as whispers fade. Dear listeners, I am Mr. H on Codex of the Lost. If the series has kindled your inner explorer, subscribe and ring the bell to join future journeys. Slumber now, embracing the unknown in dreams that bridge yesterday to tomorrow.